Welcome back to another episode of Keep It T.A.D, where we always try to keep it true
and direct.
all the time.
Yes, sir. All the time, sir.
Man, it's been a
How you
minute,
been,
man.
DJ?
Hey, we back at it. That's what I like, man.
Man, look, man. That's good.
How the family been, man?
Man, good as hell, man. You know, it's the holiday season, getting all our shopping in store. You know, I went out for some little cocoa the other day. Man, this thing was really lit, man. Had some good Friendsgiving, though. That stuff was actually really nice. So, how about you, man? What did you do, man?
Hey, man, you know, right now living the single life. So, man, cooking single hands and single turkeys. You know, enjoying life with the fam. Hey, we're going to get there one day. We're going to get there. All right. But today's episode, man, we about to give them some fire today. Today's episode, our first question we got, do you believe children in our current time feel more entitled than children of the past? Let it simmer a little bit. Let them get a chance to read it.
Yes.
Do you feel children of today are more entitled than children of the past? Go ahead and take it away, Teresa.
Man, look, man, I think that more than anything I ever really think about is when the word entitlement comes to mind, man, I wonder about what the definition of entitlement is. And I think that more than anything, entitlement can be prescribed or ascribed to something where you feel like if good deeds or good pleasures needs to come to you directly, or you basically require that those things happen, so to speak. And I think that more than anything that you really have to do with anything in life is gratitude needs to be the attitude of everything you do. And you just need to be grateful. And more than anything, that would translate you into understanding what the value of what you're actually getting is. And I feel that kids or regular people nowadays need to get into that attitude, because more than anything, man, that will give you the tangibility of what the process is or what the gift is, as well as give you some good ideas of what the actions that you might probably need to do in order to assimilate and as well as progress in this specific fashion. So more than anything, bro, I think that with kids, though, nowadays, there's some other things that I'll really say is I really cannot say that the lifestyle that a kid has to live needs to be dwindled or different than what we lived as ourselves. You know,
we always want to give our kids something better than what we had.
Exactly.
That's always that. But for me, I feel like with kids these days, they're kind of missing the concept of which role they fall into. You know, you know, back in the day, us growing up, you know, we knew exactly where we was, you know, in that family role and the dynamic of the family. You know, we knew not to overstep our boundaries. We knew exactly where we needed to be, unless we would get, you know, popped in the mouth or anything like that. So I think the biggest thing that kids need to understand is, like, you are a kid, especially when you're in your house, you know, from age birth to 18, 17, you got to understand that you are indeed a kid, you know, and you step outside that boundary. And also, like you said, depending on like the household, you know, there's households, Black or white, Asian, Hispanic, they have different dynamics of how they parent or how they co-live like with their kids and stuff. So that's different. But like for example, like a normal Black household, hey, you watch your tone, how you talk to me. You don't say this. You come in. It's a different dynamic. So kids need to understand their roles. That's the biggest thing for me. And then once they understand their roles, parents need to also enable, you know, the rules and structure the household in a manner to where the kids aren't like given open doors. Like, okay, I can go this way because, you know, mom's let me do this or dad's let me do that. You know, because the parents are also enabling the kid. A lot of these actions that we see these kids do nowadays, parents are enabling that. It's like, oh, look at Johnny. You know, he's a free spirit. No, Johnny needs to go sit down. You know, Johnny is still 6. What is he doing? So I mean, how do you feel about that, man?
Man, I feel like if anything, man, you hit it right on the head, man. Everything in life needs to start from the family unit itself. The family unit needs to be the main crucible or the foundation of every other thing that we see in society, in little life sense or in little life history, so to speak. And if the parents can set the precedent as to how we to operate. So that means I can truthfully tell a child as to, hey, currently right now, my main job is to provide for you in this certain way, shape, or form. You wanting a PlayStation 5 from Santa just because you feel like if every other kid around the block has a PlayStation 5. I don't think that should be the right precedent, because number one, if you teach the kid that, hey, regardless of whatever you have, I want you to be grateful for that. And if a PlayStation 5 comes on the table, I need you to be grateful for that too, because it could go away whenever I want that to go away too. But until you get to the position where now you can be able to provide for yourself and do all those things for yourself, I think that then at that particular point, you can know what exactly you need to pick and choose. So once, like you said, the parents hit it right on the head, and then the kid also gets to their realization that, hey, man, I think that there's some things basically I'm not entitled to at this particular point in time. But your entitlement can come in a position of light, food on your table, electricity, heater, and all that stuff that might go wrong with it, as well as I can provide you some clothes and all. But more than anything, you need to know is all these other gifts and all these other little things that come with that, man. I myself, I'm breaking my back in order for me to provide this for you, but I know that at least to sustain you or to keep you alive till you're 18 and you're self-sufficient is my one big job.
Oh yeah, it's like that saying, like, well, life on a silver platter or a silver spoon, like that saying. That's a good concept, but on that top of that silver platter, yeah, it'd be shiny, but I want that backside to be a little tarnished, and that tarnishment is like experiences I want my kids to have. Like, yes, I want them to feel entitled to a sense, but I want them to also understand that they need to work for what they want and need. So of course, that PlayStation 5's out there. For me to like kind of instill that into them, I'm like, okay, well, the only way you're gonna get that PlayStation 5 is if you do this and that. That's like do the dishes when I tell you to do all your chores without me having to tell you. Getting good grades in class, acting right in class, like that's typical stuff kids should be doing. We need to worry about, school, if they're in athletics, doing good in sports, like that type of stuff. It's not just, oh, the PlayStation 5 was out there, Mom, I want it, or Dad, I want it, but my grades are like F's, D's, and I'm getting negative marks on attendance and performance in class. I'm like, how does that equal up? And if I allow that process to continue, they're just going to continue to think, hey, stuff is just going to be given to me when I ask for it, or because it's out there, it is mine, or I deserve it. So then you get to a point where like the kids are like, well, that bank is open. That money should be mine. I'm going to go get it,
Yeah.
Or I don't like to talk about this, but like, that female looks kind of cute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go talk to her. And if she says no, and that type of dynamic make kids think nobody can ever tell me no. Like rejection is not in my vocabulary. So regardless if you say no, I'm gonna do whatever I intended to do. So that's another way of like parents parents are enabling the actions of the kids and need to be cognizant of what they're doing when they're raising their kids. I just feel like kids feel like they place more attention on everything else besides being a kid, and it's kind of the fault of like how our technology is today. They don't have to focus. It wasn't directly in front of them because there's internet. Like back in the day, we had internet, but it was like the dial-up, and we couldn't take it on the go. It was it was at home on the computer with AOL and stuff like that. But now that it's on the go, kids are more in tune to do this instead of looking out what's in front of them. They're more in tune to what's going on with Lil Nas X or Lil
JoJo Siwa.
Yeah, JoJo Siwa, Drake. Instead of like looking in front of them and figuring out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? They're forgetting that concept of, hey, I need to focus on myself and not too much on what's going on my phone. Yep. And that's kind of, making stuff happen how it is right now.
I believe from that perspective though, like there's something that I as a child now that I'm an adult, I think that one thing I always wanted to do was whenever I came to the why was I doing these specific things? And we as parents or we as individuals willing to tell our children the truth about why you perform some certain activities. Just like you said, the reward is for you performing an activity that I feel is equated or equal to you receiving that specific reward, right? So for you now coming to me for Christmas, you want this and I want your chores done, is because doing your chores is a way of you actually applying yourself in this family setting we have. I'm going out there to go work. I don't want to come back to the dirty house that you've been in because that's a way of me divvying up activities for us to do so we can keep co-inhabit together, right? Yep. The reason why I need you to get better grades in school is because education is one of the keys to take you from the position in which you are currently to one that is going to be different from what I have lived itself, right? The reason why I need you to be respectful to your elders is because respect is reciprocal. When you respect somebody, you can be able to receive respect back in return. In so many, and sometimes it's not the case, but at least I'm putting in those foundations. And can I basically explain to you as a child as to, hey, this is the reasons as to why I'm doing these certain things. The reason why I'm a little bit hard on you on some certain things. It's not just because I feel like if I'm just this good old dictator or something like that, but it's because there's some consequences as well as some good fruits from these activities that you perform. I am like your only judge or your only reader. And most of the life experiences I've gone through, I've been able to decipher some characteristics that can be able to be put in you in which you can be a better person or a well-rounded individual. And when you become 18 or when you become at least self-aware or self-sufficient, you can be able to pick and choose from what you really want to go ahead with. But I need to actually give you the why. It's not just like, just gonna walk around, oh, my dad is always mad all the time, or my mom's always mad all the time, or my parents don't understand me, or just that. Nah, and let me give you my why. Maybe we can have a little rub minds together. When I say come in after 7 o'clock, it's because, hey, if I can't see you, I come panicked and all. I need to see you around me. You need to come in because you got to go to school in the morning. I don't want to come into your room in the morning and have to wake you up because you have a place to be, and I need you to be at those places. Those little things, I think the kids need to tune their minds in there. It's not just giving you this certain precepts just to leave, but it's because these certain precepts are one that might be able to give you a well-rounded life. My parents were riding freaking carts with horses. Now here I am driving an electric vehicle or anything like that. You might be driving a spaceship tomorrow, and I need you to be prepared for you to be able to do those things. It's just that plain and simple.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. It starts with building that foundation, and then also, back in the day, it was never, hey, I'm telling you to do this because it was always, I'm telling you this, that's in the story. I think that's what we need to, adults now need to understand that, okay, it can't always be, like you said, a dictatorship, like my way, my way, my way. You got to kind of like give them, hey, like, this is why I'm doing this. So you can understand it and be like, okay, I understand it, not just always being told what to do. Kids nowadays don't like that, being told what to do. And I understand it. Like back then, I didn't care that I was always told what to do. But I understood because, like I said, I understood my role. But now, us being the parents now, we need to understand, like, okay, this is what we went through. Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but let's apply it to our generation of kids now. So, still be on them, make sure that they're getting their stuff done to build that foundation of building a strong person who's independent, driven, has goals and all that, and not just, spoon-fed and thinks everything is his or hers without having to put in the work. But then also giving them like the backstory of like, okay, I'm doing this because, I want you to do this because it's going to set you up to be better in life, better than me. It's going to open up a lot of doors for you if you, focus on your education. It's going to open up a lot of doors for you if you, put your all into something and not just rely on somebody else to give it to you because it's already there and you don't have to work for it. So you hit it head right on the head, man. All right, man, that was a good talk right there. We're going to move on to the next question. We got, what pain did you experience that you never want your children to feel? What pain have you experienced in your life that you never want your children to feel? We're going to let that simmer a little bit. Let's take a good look at it. All right.
No, this is a hard one, man. I think that it's all pains generally, because I'm a big believer of the fact that the world is always changing and always evolving and always getting better, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So whenever it comes from the situation of our grandparents or our great-grandparents being like they walk from place to place, our parents now finally decided to domesticate animals or stuff like that, and then they put carts in the back of those animals and move them from one place to the other. Our parents now got into some locomotive vehicles, and here we are now getting into electric vehicles in return. I believe that those pains in which they've gone through have been ones that have put us in the position that we've been in. So that means we've advanced from the archaic times now to more modern times. So I really can't expect my kids now to go through a lot of those stresses I went through, where I was jumping buses or riding my bicycle through long distances. Obviously now it's become more of a cerebral game than it is actually more of a physical situation. But in that sense, there were some little, how will I put it, little lessons in all of those little pains that basically formulated or made me the person I am now. And from pain, you then decide to get a good amount of growth or good amount of advancement, right? So that means when you're forced to receive some amount of pain or some amount of suffering, you then forced to either evolve or you probably tarnish or fold in return. And I've been able to, and you've been able to, and people have been able to at least create a new sense or a new aura of life for themselves based off of that pain. So whenever it comes to that, I believe that it's forever advancing. But my role now as a parent, as a friend, as an advisor now is to put you in a position where, hey, look at the current situation in which you're in. How can you further enhance these gifts and talents in order to make yourself a better person moving forward? In as much as you could be receiving pains in some certain ways, such as, it's hard for me to wake up in the morning, or I don't think my boss. Now we can go through emotional pain, which sometimes it seems to be the same. But in return, I feel like if pain is evolving and everything needs to be better, so we as human beings just have to catch on with the times. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I want to break this question down to two parts. So you got, do you want your children to experience physical pain and then it's another part of emotional or like mental like that. So start with the physical. Back in our days, getting our butts whooped, corporal punishment was a thing. Like you didn't do this or you got spanked. Now the levels of how you got spanked different, but it was still hand, belt, so forth. In that aspect, I don't feel like I want my children to feel that, but I do think it is necessary at times, because, them, cussing at school, that deserves a little spanker now and then, fighting at school. Depends on how the fight started or the how it started, whatnot. Maybe a whooping. And I say that because for me it translates to, okay, what if you steal something? You're an adult and you steal something. Like growing up, you was never, given a form of punishment to like, okay, I can't do that. So now you're just out there like, okay, I can steal and nothing's going to happen to me. Well, something is going to happen to you. It's going to be jail. Yeah. If you caught. So I kind of like, okay, I want my kids to understand that they can't do this. Depending on what it is, they can't do this. So I have to employ this type of punishment, tagging them or getting a whooping. So that's going to be in their mind, okay, if I do this, something bad is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Something bad is going to happen. So when I get older, I'm like, do I want to steal? No. If I steal something, I don't know what's going to happen, but something bad is going to happen. If I do something illegal, something bad is going to happen. So that's why I think corporal punishment is needed, but it just needs to be given in the right areas, not just because somebody knocked over a plant or, because you're having a bad day and the kid, been yelling all day, you want to whoop. No, it needs to be given so the kid learns from it and can have an effect, a positive effect in their future. What do you think about that physical piece, the corporal punishment piece? I
think that more than anything, though, I think that we as parents or we as individuals just need to stop being emotional bullies. That means we have, as adults, we need to be able to understand what our emotional context or emotional activities are at a specific time. A lot of the reasons why we just overly brutalize or overly give kids a lot of pain is because we're going through some pains too.
Yes.
We just see a lesser person in which we can then inflict some pain on that can basically relieve that specific problem that we're going through in return. Your kids are not the solution or they're not the reason why you didn't do well at work today. But the fact that now you can be able to understand what your emotional state is, you can then understand how to properly discipline another individual. Because more than anything, kids are very delicate human beings where little things like this are traumatic to them that can influence them in the long run. So you yourself as a parent now who took the role as bringing a child into this world and making sure that they're well equipped, you need to understand that, my emotional maturity needs to be number one, because only then can I understand how to properly raise this child that I've been given. So on the physical nature, yes, I can give you discipline, just like you said, in different ways, shapes, or form, but I need to do so under a certain premise. Why am I really doing this? It's not just because I'm mad. I just need to be more emotionally mature where I'm not just bullying you, but I'm really teaching you a lesson in return. And that is the major key, man, if you ask me.
Yes, very. All right, so my second piece, emotional. It's kind of hard for me because I feel like I've been, I'm 29 right now. I feel like I've lived the life of a 50-year-old with all the stuff I've been through in my life. So I feel like I have a lot of experiences and pains that I do not want my kids to go through. But on the second half, those pains that I went through have built and molded and shaped me into the person I am today. So I can't 100% say I don't want them to go through it, because they need to go through it, because it's going to build them, it's going to mold them, it's going to make them to the man that they're going to be in the future. So stuff I wanted to keep them from is financial pain, stuff like that. So, I think every parent should want to make their kids' lives in that aspect the best thing ever. They don't want them to experience, living check to check, having a credit score of 0, if that is possible, or anything. So, I started giving my kids, when my oldest son gets of age, I'm going to start building his credit to where when he's finally 18, he's already walking out with a 750, 800, stuff like that. I don't want him to ever go through any financial pains, anything like that. The type of pains that I went through in my life. And with the emotional stuff, I want to, like I said, he needs to go through the heartbreaks and, love and all that stuff. But I just want to hey man, it's going to happen. You know,
Yes, sir.
I don't know how many times for you. It happened a lot of times for me. It's heartbreak, but it's going to happen. But don't let it be. Don't let it in your world or in your or cloud your vision of still going out there and accomplishing your goals. Because eventually you are going to find somebody who you settle down with, and it's going to be long lasting. You know, but it's not the end of the world if you have this heartbreak. Because I've seen a lot of like kids. I had younger siblings and just younger cousins, stuff like that, who go through stuff and they just let it just simmer and just marinate in milk, and they just in this funk for a long time. Like, hey man, like get back out there, maybe she wasn't the one. Maybe that had to happen. She wasn't the one. But don't let that stop you from, getting back on your grind or hustle and getting back on your feet to making a better life for yourself. Maybe that person was just a chapter one in your 52 chapter book, So maybe you had to experience that to get to this next person who's going to give you another life lesson. Yeah, it's going to be a heartbreak, but it gave you a lesson to get to that final chapter or that final relationship that you'll take on for the rest of your life. So that type of stuff, I feel, has to happen. So there's a lot of pain that, we want to take away, but in the end, it has to happen because it's going to make that person, make your kid or make the individual who they really was meant to be. What you got?
True, man. I mean, I feel you 100%, man. And this comes down again back to emotional maturity, where a parent, a custodian, or individual, an adult understands what it is to actually be in tune with their emotional mindset. And then from there, they can be able to translate some good lessons. So whenever it comes to little things such as emotional trauma, such as heartbreak from you meeting somebody, I think my dad told me this one time. It's like, man, there's going to be a lot of girls around the world, man. Yeah. One girl is it. I don't know what to tell you, but what really, and then in return, he said, what really are you looking for in a woman? Because in all honesty, that's where it really boils down to. What are the little qualities or the little precepts that you think that you understand that you can stand with being with somebody? Are you also willing to be a husband or boyfriend in all totality, or you just also just trying to play some games with it? And then I just like, okay, I think I finally understand this from that perspective. I made my mistakes. I did little things, but then when I finally understood what it was, number one, to be a lover or person to another person, that basically solved my whole problem. Because in that position, now it wasn't about anything you were able to provide for me. It was just what I needed to do. But back on the kid's situation, I believe that before we can be able to teach them all these lessons, we need to understand those lessons ourselves. And more than anything, that we can shield them from this emotional trauma. Some of the trauma, they can be able to experience it. But number one, are you going to be available for them in order for them to actually talk to you? So that means whenever they're going through a big old heartbreak, will they run and go tell a friend instead of them running to come tell dad or mom? Do they have that trust or in the whole family setting for them to actually discuss these things instead of going to go discuss this outside? Are you basically that full example of what they feel is the perfect gentleman, or at least the perfect mom or the perfect parent, so to speak, so they can bring all of these problems to you? I believe that alone says a lot, because you really need to be able to understand where they're getting all of this information from. Because if it's being fed from them by the television or the social media outlets that we have, I don't believe that that's true and concrete in its base, because the family is the main set and your house is the main set. And so that alone needs to be the foundation. So if you're probably not talking to your kids as often as you need to, or you're not getting their business as much as you need to, you kind of need to, because now you need to create that whole trust process where I trust you, you trust me. I'm a human being just like you. I'm not just this whole big old Voltron type dude, man. I'm just here as your parent, and I'm doing my best with what I got, man. And that basically solves that whole problem, bro.
Yeah, but that ties pretty much back into that first question. Like, kids feel more entitled. Yeah, kids feel more entitled to their feeling. Like, they feel like their feelings are the most important thing. And parents have to realize that, like I said, back in the day, our feelings was like, are you bleeding? Are you sick? All right, go sit down somewhere. But nowadays, parents need to really sit down and talk with their kids, if parents don't sit there and do that, the kids will run to their phones and do it that way. You know how the internet is just a bad place, so they can be really expressing their feelings, but you can have these spam accounts of these individuals who are just deceitful and just hurtful, and can be telling the kid like, hey, you're this and that, make them think down about themselves, which can lead to other bad processes. So it's important for the kids to be able to have a feeling inside like, yeah, I can go talk to my dad. He won't look at me a certain way, or he won't push me aside. I can go talk to my mom about this, and she won't look at me a certain way or push me to the side. And when that dynamic is created, that family is even stronger. Everything is put out on the table. Everybody's learning from something. The kids are learning from the parents, and the parents are learning from the kids, knowing what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, and just making a complete family.
I think that just back to that, I think myself, I have kids, and yourself, we have kids. And I think that I learned a lot from my kids more than I've learned, period, about sometimes the efficacy of love, how it is to be there for somebody more than anything in the whole wide world. And just like you said, it's a equilibrium situation where I'm giving to you and I'm receiving a lot from you in return. And I believe that if we can look at it as that, man, it's huge. Like, waking up in the morning and understanding that I don't really have to think about myself. I need to think about my appendages more than I need to think about myself. And man, that shit that's the mind, bro.
Bro, I agree, bro. Like I said, having kids, it showed me a lot of different things. I was like, wow, this is what I went through. This is how I reacted to it. And like I said, the kids, man, they change everything. Kids change everything. Before I had my kids, I was just this free spirit, doing what I wanted to do, not caring what happened. When I get the kids, and it's like, something flipped in my head. Like, man, he was really out there causing destruction, man. Like, just having kids just changed, man. You got anything else to add to that, man?
And bro, man, I just want to say out there, man, that in the season of giving, make sure you're giving, being there for people. It doesn't matter how you can give. You don't have to give just gifts. You can give your time. You can give your advice. You can just give yourself, period. And if you have some gifts to even add to that, make sure you also do that as well, man. But don't just forget, this season is just for giving, period. All right? Love, peace, everything that comes with it, man. Love you guys.
Oh, yeah. It's always a season for giving, man. Christmas coming up, man. Just, if you ain't got nothing to give physically, man, just give your time, man. Just give somebody a phone call, They may be going through it. They may be deployed. They may be by themselves, lonely. Just give them 10 minutes of your time. That may change a lot. That definitely may change a lot. And by giving, you can also give us a like and a subscribe and a comment or something on our page, man. We're trying to build this thing up from the bottom up, and we need y'all help. So you can follow us at the links below. Man, I hope y'all have a happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, happy Christmas, and peace, love. This is the podcast where we keep it true
and direct, man.
All the time, man. See y'all later.